She kissed a stranger in the woods, and he wasn't human sunlight, dripped through the thick canopy of the ancient trees, battling the forest floor in emerald and gold. The air was thick with the smell of pine and earth, as a lone girl stumbled through the undergrowth. Her name was Ilara, a wisp of a thing with hair the color of burnished copper, and eyes like chips of blue glass. She had been lost for what felt like an eternity, her small hand clutching a tattered map that was more torn than whole. The forest, usually a place of solace and joy for Ilara, had become a menacing labyrinth of shadows and whispers. The sun dipped lower in the sky, painting the clouds in hues of dying embers. Fear pricked at her like the thorns on a wild rose bush. Night was coming, and with it, the creatures of the dark. Just when despair threatened to engulf her, a sound broke the oppressive silence. A steady thud of footsteps. Hope surged through her like a lifeline. Ilara stumbled out of the thicket and into a small clearing, and there he stood, a silhouette against the fading light. Relief flooded her as she called out, "Hello, are you there?" The figure turned, and for a moment, Ilara couldn't see his face. Then he stepped into the firelight, and she gasped. His features were sharp and handsome, but it was his eyes that truly captivated her. They glowed with an otherworldly light, like twin embers burning with an inner fire. He tilted his head, regarding her with an intensity that sent shivers down her spine. "Are you lost, little one?" His voice was a low rumble that echoed through the clearing. It was a voice that could soothe troubled waters and stir dormant desires. A voice that seemed to hold the secrets of the ancient woods. Tears welled up in Ilara's eyes. She nodded, her voice catching in her throat. I can't find my way back." The stranger took a step towards her, and in that instant, something in Ilara snapped. Perhaps it was the exhaustion, the loneliness, or the sudden hope that bloomed in her chest. She threw herself into his arms, burying her face in his shoulder. He stiffened momentarily, then relaxed, his arms wrapping around her in a protective circle. "Don't worry," he murmured, his voice a soothing balm to her frayed nerves. "You're safe now." And for the first time since she had entered the woods, Ilara truly felt safe. In the small clearing, nestled between ancient trees, the stranger built a fire, its flickering light dancing in his glowing eyes. As the flames rose, casting long, eerie shadows around them, he told her his name. It was Kellen, a name that resonated with the ancient power of the forest itself. Ilara learned that he was a guardian of the woods, a protector of the balance between the human world and the realm of the Fae, the mythical creatures that dwelled in these parts. According to him, she had stumbled into their territory by accident. As the night deepened, the forest came alive with sounds both enchanting and eerie. The rustling of leaves, the hoot of an owl, and the distant howl of wolves. Yet despite the primal fear that stirred within her, Ilara found herself inexplicably drawn to Kellen and the mysteries he represented. He was unlike anyone she had ever known, his presence a potent mix of danger and allure. Under the canopy of stars, with the fire crackling between them, they talked. Or rather, Ilara spoke, and Kellen listened, his gaze never wavering from her face. It was only when the first rays of dawn touched the treetops that he finally revealed the path back to the familiar roads. "Be careful, little one," he cautioned, his voice laced with concern. "The forest can be a dangerous place." Ilara nodded, her heart heavy with the thought of leaving this magical place, and more importantly, leaving Kalen behind. As she made her way through the trees, the forest seemed to sigh around her, as if in farewell. When she finally emerged onto the path, the sight before her made her gasp. It led directly to the edge of a sheer cliff. Below, the ground fell away into a dizzying drop. And there, etched into the rock face, was a single word, Kalani. Her heart pounded in her chest as she turned to retrace her steps, but the trees hid her from view. Panic clawed at her throat. Had Kalani meant to lead her here? Was this the end of her journey? Then, As if sensing her fear, a twig snapped behind her. She whirled around to see Kellen standing there, his eyes blazing with a new intensity. Before she could utter a sound, he closed the distance between them, cupping her face in his hands. His thumbs brushed away the tears that had sprung to her eyes, and in that moment, the world around them ceased to exist. Time stood still. All that mattered was the intensity of his gaze, the warmth of his touch, and the overwhelming pull she felt towards him. Then he did the most unexpected thing. He leaned in and kissed her. His lips were like ice and fire at the same time, both searing and soothing. It was a kiss that awakened primal instincts, a kiss that promised forbidden desires. When he finally pulled away, his eyes, now a vibrant emerald green, held hers captive. "You must leave now," he whispered, his voice hoarse. "The veil is thinning and I cannot keep you here any longer." With trembling fingers, Ilara touched her lips, still tingling from his kiss. As she turned to go, she felt his gaze burning into her back. The thought of leaving him, of returning to her old life, filled her with a deep, unsettling sadness. But as the days passed, the memory of Kellyan and the kiss they shared became a bittersweet ache in her heart. She tried to shake off the feeling, to focus on her life, but it was no use. The forest, once a place of solace, now mocked her with its whispering trees and hidden glades. Then one morning, as she stood by her window, she noticed claw marks on her arm. They were faint, almost invisible, yet undeniably there. Panic surged through her. Had Kalani been marking her somehow? That evening, as the full moon hung like a silver disk in the sky, the howling began. It started low, a mournful sound that seemed to rise from the very depths of the earth, then crescendoed into a chilling symphony of wails and cries. Each howl tore through Ilara, echoing the turmoil in her own heart. She pressed her palms against her ears, trying to shut out the sound, but it was no use. The forest was calling to her, and she knew she had to return. She raced back to the forest, drawn by an invisible force. As she ran, the trees seemed to part before her, revealing a hidden path. At the end of it lay a small cottage, its windows glowing with a warm, inviting light. With a pounding heart, Ilara knocked on the door. When it opened, she gasped. There he was, his eyes blazing with a mixture of emotions she couldn't decipher. "You came back," he stated, more than asked, his voice a husky whisper. Relief washed over Ilara, followed by a surge of anger. "Why did you mark me?" she demanded, pointing to the claw marks on her arm. Kellan's expression shifted, pain flickering across his features. "I'm sorry," he murmured. "It was the only way to protect you." Ilara's anger ebbed, replaced by confusion. "Protect me from what?" Kellan's gaze dropped, his emerald eyes filled with a profound sadness. "From the curse," he whispered, the word heavy with unspoken dread. "I am cursed, little one. And tonight, the curse will consume me." Before Ilara could ask more questions, Kellan reached out, pressing a finger to her lips. "There's no time," he murmured. "You must leave now. Don't come back until the full moon has waned." With that cryptic warning, he pushed her away, his eyes filled with a desperate plea. Tears welled up in Ilara's eyes, blurring the image of the heartbroken Phi warrior standing in the doorway. As she fled, the forest seemed to echo her sorrow, the wind rustling through the trees like a mournful song. Reaching the safety of her home, Ilara collapsed onto her bed, the events of the night swirling in her mind. What curse was Kellan battling? Why was he protecting her? And why did he kiss her, knowing he couldn't keep her in the forest? Questions that offered no answers, leaving her tossed and turned in the darkness. The days that followed were agonizing for Ilara. The memory of Kaline's kiss burned on her lips, a constant reminder of the forbidden's love that blossomed in the heart of the woods. Yet as the full moon approached, fear gnawed at her, for she knew that according to Kellan's warning, Tonight the curse would reach its peak. Torn between her growing feelings for the enigmatic Fae and the knowledge of the danger that awaited him, Elara found herself at a crossroads. On the eve of the full moon, she made a decision. She would return to the forest and confront the curse head-on. Love, she realized, knew no bounds, not even the boundaries between the human world and the realm of the Fae.